when he's in the city of refuge or not. So we had two opinions in the Gemara regarding this.
Why would you think he was there?
Why would you think? Oh, very good. So Mr. Haber says, why do you think you should have to? It's a place of refuge. So, but you're safe from the Gol Adam. Why should it be rent free? Is that Mr. Haber's question? Right. So the Gemara says because we have a pasuk. There's a special pasuk. There's a special word in the pasuk which teaches us, according to one opinion, one of Mr. Safdie, that you're exempt from paying rent. Why? Because the pasuk says it's lachem. It's for you. And it's for you for all your needs, which would mean to say it's for you for escape and it's for you to live. That's how one opinion understands the lachem. So that's why it's telling you, the Torah is saying the word, the pasuk could have said, the pasuk could have just said, good morning, good to see you, Mr. Rappaport. The pasuk could have said, it's for you to escape. Why does the pasuk say lachem? Why does the pasuk say lachem? Good morning. You know, it says lech lecha. Pashas lech lecha. Rashi lecha letovatcha. Torah. So over there, the lecha teaches you lecha. You're going for your benefit. It's for your benefit. We have also interesting. There's a sefer called Sra Hamor, written by one of the Spanish great scholars from Spain, who was part of the Spanish Inquisition when they threw the Jews out. He was there in 1492, and he wrote a sefer from memory because they didn't allow him to take any svarim with him. Had to leave everything behind. And he says, when it gets svira to Omer, it says, svartem lachem. So you know what he said, lachem? It's for you. All the mitzvot that you do, it's who? Who's the winner? It's you. You're the winner. It's for your benefit. Everything is for you when it comes to Torah and mitzvot. So here also, the Gemara is saying, lachem means it's for you. It's for you. You got it. You got free rent. That's how this is for your benefit. That's how this one opinion holds. Amar of Kahana. Now in the Gemara, with 4 lines from the top, we're on 13a1. So the Gemara, we have a machloket in the Mishnah. One says he has to pay rent. One says he doesn't have to pay rent. And the Gemara is going to bring 2 different rabbis, 2 different later rabbis that have 2 different understandings of where and what's the case in the Mishnah. Mr. Haber talks about case, law, and reason. What is the case? So the Gemara says, Amar Rav Kahana. We're open. Amar Rav Kahana, 4 lines from the top. Amar Rav Kahana, machloket b'sheish. The 6 that were designated, the 3 that were designated by Moshe Rabbeinu on this side of the Jordan, that Yehoshua designated, the 3 cities that Yeshua designated, besides the 40, there was an additional 42 cities. Besides those big 6, there was an additional 42. So he says the machloket in the Mishnah was regarding the 6 cities that were mentioned by name, those special 6 cities. The Marsava, one rabbi holds, lachem leklita. The pasuk says regarding these 6 cities that it says lachem, it's for you. So one rabbi says lachem, it's for you leklita, specifically for escape, to be safe from the Goel Hadam, but not for free rent. It's only lachem, it's for you. For what purpose? To escape. Umar Sava, the next rabbi holds, the other rabbi holds lachem l'chol tzarchechem. He understands lachem means it's for you for all your needs, which means it's all your needs, means your free rent. But the other 42 cities that of the Leviim that will serve as cities of refuge, divrei hakol hayamalim lehem sachar. Everybody agrees in those 42 cities that you got to go ahead and pay rent. The Torah never told us that it's lachem. The Torah did not say the word lachem, it's for you in the other 42 cities. And therefore, as Mr. Haber opened up earlier, if you don't, why shouldn't you pay rent? You need a pasuk to tell me that you're exempt from rent. But the only place the Torah says you're exempt from rent is by the six. The only place the Torah told us a word which might indicate an exemption from rent is by the 6 big cities. It says lachem over there. But the Torah never gave us an extra word to teach us by the 42 cities that it's your free rent. So the Torah doesn't teach you that it's free rent. So you're only allowed to know the chidush that you're able to escape there. You can't say, without a pasuk telling you free rent, you have to pay rent. So that's the first opinion. If Kahana says, on the 42 cities, pay rent. 6 big cities, there's a machloket whether you pay rent or you don't pay rent. That's his understanding of the Mishnah. However, Rava disagrees with Rav Kahana's understanding of the Mishnah. Amalei Rava. Rava says, "V'havadai lachem l'chol tzarchechem." Definitely, the word lachem that's said by the 6 big cities definitely means for all your needs. That means it's rent-free. So Rava understands that it's clear in the pasuk, in the extra word, which has to do with the 6 big cities, that you're free rent. Because the pasuk says, it's lachem, it's for you. Now, the way I would say Rava is saying, there's an extra word. It says lachem. There's no need to pasuk. If the pasuk wants to tell you, you only have free, you're only able to escape there, but there's no free rent, the pasuk could have just said, V'hoya harim limiklat. The cities are for escape. Why does the pasuk put the word in lachem? So the Gemara understands the word lachem. Rava says is clearly telling us you're free rent. You have all your needs. You're free rent. But where is the machloket? By the other 42 cities. The machloket is, do the other 42 cities get the same status as these 6 cities regarding rent, or they don't get that same status? So the Rava says, Ela Amar Rava. Rava says, machloket, the argument is ba'arbayim v'arbayim v'shtayim. On the 42 cities, the Marsava, one rabbi holds, va'aleim titnu. The pasuk says, after it mentions the 6 cities, the pasuk says, va'alehem titnu, and in addition to these 6 cities, you go ahead and you place 42 cities for cities of refuge. So the fact that it says, va'alehem titnu, the fact that the pasuk says that in addition to these 6, you get 42, does that mean the other 42 also are in addition aspects that they serve for rent-free, just like the first cities? Or they're in addition to the first 6, one aspect, in the aspect of escape, that that's a city of refuge, but it's not similar regarding rent-free. That's the question. If I tell you, you know what, right? And then you tell me, and in addition to the 6 cities, so does that mean the other 42 cities are similar to that both, and also they're also similar regarding free rent, or refuge and refuge only, that you're safe, but you still have to pay rent? Yes. No.
The 6 cities was in the
before there was 3 that Moshe designated on one side, and there's another 3 that Yeshua will designate. Yeshua will designate 3 in the time of Moshe. Right, Moshe Rabbeinu's time, before he passed over the Jordan, there was 3 cities. There was only 3 cities of refuge, but they did not take effect yet. until Yeshua went to Eretz Israel and they conquered the land and divided the land, and then they gave 3 cities that were scattered in Eretz Israel. There were 3 cities that were divided along the country that were designated for, like the one by Shem area, Hebron area. There were different cities that were designated for refuge. So a total of 3 cities that were scattered throughout the whole land, and then the Levium had a chunk of Israel, wherever the Levium had cities. There were cities that were designated Levium, and all the Levium cities served as Arim Miklat. So there's these 3 cities scattered around the country that these 3 cities that were designated for cities of refuge, plus wherever the Levium lived, the 42 cities of the Levium also served as refuge. The 42 only came when they came to Eretz Israel. They divided the land, and they gave all the tribes their portion, and then the Levium got their spot. The Levium got their places where they're going to live, and the Levium got their place, and their 42 cities, here are the 42 cities Levium are going to live. They got to go ahead and they also serve as cities of refuge. But then there was but that was in addition to the other big 3 cities that Yeshua had designated. But it's right. The 6 cities of refuge. It's for the 6. Right. The pasuk. The lachem, when it says it's for you for rent free, according to only those 6. That's one opinion in the Mishnah. But the Torah, if you look at the Torah Shalem, you have a number base in the art scroll, right? You see, you have the psukim. You see the Torah Shalem, Mr. Safdie. You see, look at it should be. You see, there's something called. Look in your Gemara on the left column, Torah Shalem. See the Torah Shalem. It quote the pasuk. Bet. You see bet. So look what it says in bet. Yaron, do you want to read bet? With the 6 cities that you're supposed to give to Levium. Morning, Jaime. Now, so that pasuk teaches us. We're explaining the machloket between in the Gemara. We are on 13a 1 in the art scroll, that we have the 48 cities of refuge, the big 6. Besides the 6, the 3 that Moshe designated on this side of the Jordan, and the 3 that Yeshua designated. In addition to those 6, there was another. Wherever the Levium lived, served as cities of refuge. And the question is, and the Rava says that the 6 cities are rent-free. Rent-free, the guy runs there, he doesn't have to pay anything. Why does he have to pay anything? Because the pasuk says lachem, it's for you. The word lachem means it's for you, rent-free. So in the art scroll, there's the Torah HaShalem, and the Torah HaShalem has the psukim on the left bottom corner. We're going to look at the pasuk Aleph, pasuk Aleph in the left bottom corner, in the Torah HaShalem. Your own. Look what it says, Aleph. V'hoya. The pasuk v'hoya lachem ha'arim.
But that one came after the bet one, because the bet is Vav, and that one is just bet, right?
Right. But the v'hoya lachem is referring to. You have to look at the pasuk. It's referring to the big 6. So when the Torah talks about the big 6, Morning Yosef, the
Morning,
big
Rabbi.
cities, those special cities that we find are designated by name, it says lachem. Specifically by those cities, it says lachem, it's for you. So one opinion says, so
cities of refuge, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they come in and they say, "We're building cities," And
Right.
we can know this place for refuge.
Right. So Hashem said to Moshe, so Hashem says to Moshe that there should be cities of refuge. Hashem told Moshe there's going to be, we need to have, you need cities of refuge for the people who kill. That's what the pasuk says.
Accident.
If someone kills unintentionally, the warning Mr. Bitesh. And Moshe and Hashem says there should be 3 cities on this side of the Jordan, God says. And he says, I want 3 cities on the other side of the Jordan, special cities. And these cities were divided in equal distance from each other throughout the land. Right? They divided, let's say you divide the land in 3 parts. Then you have these cities every third of the way, there's another city of refuge. So you have in the land 3 in this side of the Jordan and 3 on the other side, spread out. And then Hashem says, I want you to, in addition to this, I want you to also place the 42 cities of the Leviim should also serve as refuge. God, Hashem is the one who says to Moshe that I want 48. That's God says to Moshe. God did not tell Moshe to separate the 3 on this side of the Jordan. He did not tell him to do that because technically it's not going to take effect until they come into the other side of the Jordan, until Yeshua goes over the Jordan and goes into the land of Israel. So really they could have waited to separate the cities and set up the cities. You have a number of years left until they're going to conquer the land. But Moshe Rabbeinu, because of his great diligence, he on his own separates the 3. He sets up the cities. It's like you have a building. You set up the building. Well, we can't occupy it until a certain date, but it's all ready to roll. That was Moshe. The Gemara says Moshe's greatness, that he has to love of mitzvot. He says, I'm going to do what I can do, even though it doesn't take effect. I'm going to set it up. We're going to put up the signs already. They have signs saying to here this way to the Ori Miklat. We're going to make the roads clear. You have to have good roads. That's easy for the guy to run. We're going to do everything we need to set it up right now, even though it can't take effect. That was Moshe Rabbeinu. But we did say that the Gemara said that until the cities were set up in Israel, we said that the Gemara said that in the desert, the city of the camp of the Leviim served as a place of refuge. If a guy killed in the desert, what would the guy do if a guy killed unintentionally? He would run to the Machane Leviah. He would run to the Betesh's camp, the Levi's camp, and that served as a refuge. That serves as cities of refuge. Even though the 3 cities that Moshe designated wasn't activated yet, but the Leviim, the camp of the Leviim, were activated.
Funny enough, Rabbi, that actually Moses was the one who's setting them up because he was the first one to run away after killing someone.
That's very, very good. But you know, maybe that shows that maybe that influenced him to go out of his way. But it seems that the Moshe's great diligence and love of mitzvot, he separated the cities. Cities didn't take effect. They weren't, those cities they didn't take effect. Now was the city that was the camp of the Levian.
Why would you characterize it as both? I haven't seen those. Where did they get the basis for this infrastructure that they were setting up?
Okay, so very good. So I'm going to read you the pasuk in Bamidbar. It's a pasuk in Bamidbar. In chapter 35. He wants to know where
Before that, they had
the pasuk says like this. Hashem says to Moshe, tell the Jewish people about the laws of you should prepare cities of refuge. It's in multiple places in the Torah. We had it recently, also it's in Maseh. And it should be a place that if somebody killed unintentionally, I want you to set that when you here it talks about when you pass by the Jordan, you go to the land of Israel, you should go ahead and set aside cities of refuge. And then the pasuk says, 3 cities you should put on this side of the Jordan, and 3 cities on the other side of the Jordan. When you come into the land of Israel, so here's where the Torah gives the instructions, where Hashem says the instructions, and then the pasuk says, then that's how the pasuk opens up, and then the pasuk says in Lamed Hey Vav,
And he designated Moshe.
right, and then the pasuk says, and Moshe goes on now, and then it says, you should also play an additional 42. The 42 cities of the Levium will also serve as the cities of refuge. And Moshe, on his own, goes ahead and he designates the 3 cities on the other side of the Jordan. He designates it right now. God says it's going to be, we need 3 cities on this side of the Jordan because we know 2.5 tribes are living here, right? And they need to have a cities of refuge. Morning, Simon. So we welcome you back. 2 days in a row is good. It's impressive. He said the machloket of the 6 cities.
And that makes sense because Disney only for like people who see someone they forget. The Levium, this is for them to live, for the place to live.
Right. But
And if someone here, they can be there like for the time, whatever, until you can get them passed away. But the 3 or the 6 that they were set up from Hashem, they were the only one to be those places for like a.
okay, right. But we see, but the pasuk also says that they also had status of Levium cities. Those are in Miklat. The pasuk refers to those
Yeah, they
cities.
were saying to live there, right?
Levium also would live there too. We'll see more about your point about the Levium. So, Mr. Haber,
Yeah, they were taking for the camp of Levium and go to those cities, like to.
The whole point of these cities that they had to pay rent, so they made money.
I mean, again, these were cities but the cities live, but the cities, but let's say the 42 cities that the Levium lived in, for sure, they lived in. So if they get rent from it, they'll also help them. They're living there. It'll be another source of income for the Levium. We hope it's not going to be a major source of income. We hope there's not going to be so many unintentional murders, right? It shouldn't be a major source of income.
Yeah.
But that's the.
How long was the duration? And did it start at a certain point? This is
Very good. The opening point of these cities of refuge, that it served, that it actually was activated, that it actually would be a place of refuge, started when the Jews, after they divided the land, they conquered the land of Israel, they divided the land, which took 14-year process. It was a 14-year process from the time Yeshua walked into the land of Israel. It was 14 years until they conquered the land, 7 years of conquering and 7 years of dividing.
Okay.
So then only after those 14 years, they designated those cities of refuge. Then everything became activated. The cities of refuge in this side of the Jordan, and then the cities of refuge on the other side of Jordan now became activated.
How did the 42?
By being cities of Levium. Once they were designated as cities of Levium, the
They were
B'teshets can move in. It's naturally, and once it's late or it's given to the Levium. That was only after the dividing. 14 years of 14 total years of conquering and dividing. Once those 14 years were up, they gave, everything was already given to, this is your spot, this is my spot, this is his spot. So now we know where the Levium live, and we know the other 3 cities that Yeshua picked out for cities of, in addition to the 42, cities of Levium. And we know what Moshe had already done his part. He already, years before, 14 years earlier, already designated 3 on the other side of Jordan. Now everything will become activated at once.
Did they last?
They should have lasted. I would think they lasted until the base of Makkos was destroyed. That's what I would think. We could check that up. But these were cities of refuge. If anybody killed unintentionally, these were designated for that purpose. It should have lasted until, yes, Mr. Batet.
It had to be a
Shouldn't-
lot. It wasn't then and then.
But remember, the 42 cities that the Levium lived in these cities.
Regardless.
So the Levium are having a good time. They're living there. It's just in addition to the Levium living there, it's available. It's there for the guy who it's the guy who kills unintentionally. I can't imagine. I can't listen.
So
There were
Rabbi,
three on the other side.
So
Three- You're sure? Plus, we have those 42 cities. Exactly, they're also part of in Israel. Exactly. Until right, nothing was activated independent of the other. Nothing took activation. Hashem want them all to be activated at one time. So what? Very good. So Mr. Safi is asking a good question. What happened until everything was activated? So what we found in the desert. So we had 40 years in the desert. The Gemara says that the camp of the Leviim, where they were camped, their camp was a place of refuge. Because the pasuk says, "V'samti lecha makom." Hashem says to Moshe, "V'samti lecha makom," that from you, Moshe was a Levi, from the camp of the Leviim, you will be the makom. You will be the place that people will run to. That your camp of the Levi camp in the desert would serve as a place of refuge. And I presume when they came to the land of Israel, logic, I would suggest, same thing. Wherever the Levium was situated, I presume wherever the Levium was situated until they actually set up this. It's a good question when they came to Israel. Because exactly, but I presume wherever the Levium was situated, that's where that should have again served as a place of refuge. Right, the first seven. Okay, so the Gemara.
If someone, where they go to, they didn't go to the city.
Right. They went outside the camp.
So
Wherever the camps are, you have to send them outside the camp. Those are the people who had leprosy. They have to stay outside. They have to be isolated because remember, you cause isolation to others by talking negative about others. So he has to be sent out and isolated away from others. And okay. So the Gemara says the following. So Rava says, Elam Rav Machloket Ba'abo v'shtayim. The Sava v'aleim titnu kehanaf. One rabbi holds that the 42 cities are just like the other cities l'klita, only for escape, but not for rent-free. The 42 cities, you have to pay rent, according to this opinion. But it served as escape like the 6. Umar Sava, and the other rabbi holds, v'aleim titnu kehanaf. The pasuk says, in addition to the 6, you should place the 42. So he holds the 42 are exactly like the 6 regarding if the 6 you don't have to pay rent, you don't have to pay rent in the 42 cities of the Vim also. Just like these, the 6 cities of refuge, which for all your needs, you don't have to pay rent in the big 6. Also these 42, you don't have to pay rent. But the 6 cities of refuge that were mentioned, those 6 special cities, everybody agrees you don't pay rent in the big 6. On the other side of the Jordan that were designated by Moshe, and the other 3 that were designated by Yeshua, rent-free. It's escape and you don't have to pay rent. But the other 42 cities that were where the Levium lived, did they have to pay rent or not? Is a machloket to the Mishnah, and I think we say they would have to pay. They would have to pay rent. You know how I know that? Look at the Aleph. Look on the top of the page. You see the Aleph over here. The first line on 13a, the first word of the page is ma'alim. You see the word ma'alim, which means, and the first word Haimi, you see it, and Yud Gimel Amanah 13a ma'alim. There's a little Aleph. You see that little Aleph? Where does that Aleph take you? Takes you to the Ein Mishpat Ner Mitzvah, the top left corner. It's called the eye of the law. The top left corner says, it's the letter Pei Beis, says Aleph Maiman. That's the Rambam, Perik Hey, Mehilchot Rotzeach Halacha Yud. The Rambam says, goes with this opinion, and that's the halacha. At the 42 cities of the Levim, they paid rent, but the 6 cities, they did not pay rent. That's halacha. Want to wish everyone a beautiful day. If you did tomorrow. Beautiful, beautiful group, everybody today. Great. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Yes, definitely. We know, yes, we know where the cities are.